So this is the all-new Toyota bZ4X, and today I'll be going through the exterior, the interior, the features, and some of the unique stuff about this vehicle. So this is the front of the vehicle. You can see it's a really nice design. You've got your headlights here, fully LED, and you've got like the blue body color plastic on top of your headlights themselves. You've got some of your parking sensors, 4 at the front and 4 at the rear. You don't have 6 parking sensors like you do in the limited model, so you miss out on some parking sensors on this plastic right here. Moving around back to this side though, you've got your 18-inch alloy wheels, and they do have a plastic hubcap cover, but they are nice looking and they are good for aerodynamics. You've got your wing mirror here. It's got a black cover on top. No 360 camera because this is the base model. However, it's not that bad. It's got parking sensors and a reverse camera. You've got your keyless entry. You just put your hand in here to unlock the door and you pull it out. And as you walk away from the car, it'll automatically lock itself. You've got privacy glass in the rear, over here as well. Then you've got more of this plastic cladding. It's all around the vehicle. I personally think it's a bit too much of this non-colored body plastic. It's a bit too much and it's not good for a city vehicle. It's probably good for off-roader, which this is not. Then coming around to the back, Toyota logo here, fully LED rear tail lights, and you've got again tinted rear glass and a little slogan there. Reverse camera right here. More parking sensors on here, 4, and the outside ones are angled towards the outside like this. bZ4X name badge. Come around back here. On this side, the exact same as the other side, however, on this one you get the BEV badge instead of EV or hybrid. And then when you open it up, you've got your Chargeport, which charges at 11 kilowatts AC and 150 kilowatts DC charging. So opening up the boot of this vehicle, it's fully automatic. Takes a little bit, but it's quite fast compared to some other vehicles. So in the back you've got 452 liters of storage in this base model. It's got the bZ4X thing in the back, and you can open this up to get some more underfloor storage over here, where typically you'd store your charge cable, which I've taken out here. I was using it to charge it last night. You've got your cargo blind cover, which you can pull open like this. It covers it up, pull out like that. And you can take this blind out and actually put it in your underfloor storage over here, and it fits nicely. So it's good that you don't have to put that at home, and you can just leave it in your car, so when you need it, you take it out and you install it. And your boot also has a locking mechanism, so you can actually control the height it opens up to in case your garage is quite low, which is nice, and that button just closes it. So one really unique thing about this EV, which is not common in a lot of other EVs, is that it's got the motor in the front like this, and no front storage. So now let's hop inside the vehicle and take it for a drive. So now that we're on the road, we should talk about the door cards of this vehicle. So the door cards are nice. It's got some nice leather material for your arm to rest on. Piano black up here with your window switches and automatically folding mirrors, which is nice. So when you lock your car, the mirrors fold automatically. And on this side as well, you've got your tailgate opening and closing button over here. So when you're inside the car, you push and hold that to open or close your tailgate. You've got automatic high beam button over there to toggle your automatic high beams. And I am pretty sure this car does have some sort of matrix light technology, which is pretty good. I've driven it a little bit at night, and I think that the matrix light works quite well. Anyways, besides from that, the piano black on the door card is definitely a little bit, I don't know how I feel about that, because this is a place where you touch, and piano black gets a lot of fingerprints, and it also scuffs up really easily, so that's something that you should be careful of, and maybe put some type of vinyl wrap or something on top of it with a new type of design. I feel like that would be the best way to protect it, although I know lots of people won't do that because it'll look a bit cheap and tacky. Now moving on from the door card, you've got your steering wheel here. So you've got all your buttons on the left to control stuff like your multimedia or multi-information display that's in front of the driver. You've got a phone call button, you've got volume, and you've got a Toyota voice assistant, which you can activate by saying either "Hey Toyota," or you can activate by saying, or by pressing this button on the steering wheel. Then on the right side, you've got a button to activate your driver assist. Next to that is your lane assist button. You can turn that on or off. Then you've got your cruise control down there. You've got cruise control mode, so you can switch between adaptive cruise control or the standard typical cruise control, which will not adapt speed to other vehicles. And then you can adjust your following distance using this button below that, which you can adjust between gaps of 1 to 4, which I think is 1 to 4 car lengths. Then you've got buttons to skip forward or go back to your song track, and then mode. at the bottom there, which is shift your infotainment. So talking about the infotainment system, you've got a nice 12.3-inch infotainment screen with satellite navigation built in. You've got your music player, which can use AM, FM, DAB+, so digital radio, and Bluetooth audio if you wish. It's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto 2, and a 6-speaker sound system, which is really good. I actually really think it's one of the better sound systems in a new car, and this is a non-branded one. If you do step up to the top spec, so there's this one for $72,990, and then there's the top spec for $82,990. And the top spec gets the additional speakers, so it's got 9 speakers instead of 6, and it's also got the JBL branded sound system, which should be better than this, although this is already really good, I should tell you that. Below that infotainment system, you've got your aircon controls. So you've got heated front seats in the base model as well. You've got a dual zone climate control. You've got, heated side mirrors, front defogger, and that's all really good, typical aircon stuff. And the aircon in this car is really good and quick and very efficient. Moving further down from there, you've got your gear stalk, which you probably saw me use earlier. You push down to shift gears, and if you just push down once, it goes to neutral, and you push the button at the top to go into park. Next to on the side of those, you've got your eco mode button, you've got snow mode, and you've got traction control off mode. And snow mode can only be activated when your regen boost is not active, which I guess makes sense, because in snow you don't want to lose traction with regen. Then on the side, you've got your parking brake electronic, you've got auto hold, and you've got your regen button on the top there. And moving further down in this little cover thing, you've got a wireless charger, and you've got 2 cup holders, which are good in size, and a armrest, which is adjustable forwards and backwards. That's really good. Below that, you've got 2 USB-C ports, and you've got a 12-volt outlet down there as well, and you've got a USB-A outlet in your actual wireless charging thing. So if you do want to use your USB-A powered and charge with a cable, you can do that too. And it does also hide your phone away in there, so you're not tempted to use it while you're driving. So now let's talk about the driver comfort on the seat here. So you can see the steering wheel is adjustable, so it is up, down, and forwards and backwards adjustable. It's got the driver's seat is electronically adjustable, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-way adjustability for the back and the bottom, the base. And then you have lumbar support to go forwards and backwards. You do not have upwards movement, vertical movement of the lumbar, it's only lateral. So on the passenger seat, you've got, you can adjust the base, move the seat forwards, backwards itself. You can lift the seat up and put it down, so you can raise the height of the seat. And you can also adjust the back of this part, like, this part of the seat, and move it forwards and backwards as well. And all of that is manually adjustable on the passenger seat. And the steering wheel is also manual, I should probably mention that. Now, the back seat of the vehicle is actually really comfortable. Even with the front driver's seat all the way back, I still have lots of room in the back seat. And although I'm not the tallest person, I'm only 5'6.5". I have lots of leg room, lots of toe room, lots of headroom in the back. So there's a lot of space in the back seat. And that does not compromise into your boot space, because even with the seats upright, I can still fit in the back and close the boot with me sitting inside the boot. The back seats are also like the same at the front. They've got the fabric on the base and then the leather on the headrests and up on the up part of the back of the seat. So that's really good. The reason this is like a really good design is that the fabric is really breathable, and then the leather, which is not, it's like a fake leather. It just means that you don't sweat as much in the car and you feel a lot cooler inside, which is a really good design choice from Toyota, and I recommend getting the fabric seats instead of the leather seats that are on the top spec. That's actually a pretty good reason to buy this vehicle instead of the top spec, especially if you want more range, which this one has more range than the top spec, just because of the fact that it's got the same battery but it's only front wheel drive, while the top spec is all wheel drive with the same battery, so it's less efficient. So now that we've spoken about the interior of the vehicle, we should talk about the driving of this vehicle. I have to say, this is a really nice vehicle to drive, and I've been driving it in the city, and I just entered the city now, and it is a really nice driving experience. Your steering wheel is really nice, you feel everything on the road, it's like very nice, quick and responsive. Your driver display on top there is holding a lot of information, and obviously you can change what information you want displayed on there, which is really good, and adjust some of your settings as well. And you've also, if you don't want any of that information on the side and you only want your driver's gauges and stuff, you just push that button on the steering wheel on the top left, and you can close all of the other information, and it'll only show your power, your charge, and all that kind of stuff, and make it bigger so it's easier to see. Although one good thing is, with this car and the regen, it does actually turn on the brake lights, and I can tell because I do have an indicator on my dash, and Toyota has this new thing where they actually show if your brake lights are active or not. So I can see when I let off and it's slowing down at a pretty strong rate, it does show that my brake lights are active until like 10 k's an hour, where they just disappear because it's not slowing down fast enough to the brake lights to come on. Now we're going down a domain road, which is nice and slow. So the city driving of this vehicle is so nice to drive in the city. Although for parking, if we talk about the parking though, it's only got a reverse camera with the parking sensors, like I outlined on the outside when I was going through the outside and the exterior of the vehicle. It only has a reverse camera with 4 front and 4 rear parking sensors. So that is something you should keep in mind. No 360 camera in the base model, you have to go to the limited model to get the 360 camera. If you're hearing that beep is the speed sign warning. Now here's the thing. This vehicle, the beeps compared to an older Toyota with something, let's just say Toyota Safety Sense 2.0, that thing would not stop beeping at you until you slow down. What would happen is when you go over the speed limit, it would tell you, I think when you go 7 k's over the speed limit, it would say something like, please obey all traffic regulations, right? And when you do that, it will not stop until you go below that set speed. Now there are times where I see how that is useful. However, at times if it gets a speed limit wrong, or if it's just like something else, it's like the speed limit's been increased, the car didn't pick it up, stuff like that, you know, it does get really annoying. Thankfully this car does not have that issue, and they've actually toned down the alerts quite a lot. If you're speeding and going up to a speed camera, it'll tell you, so it's quite good in that regard as well. Now just before we enter the city, I want to talk about the safety of this vehicle. So this vehicle has a 5-star NCAP safety rating, and in the base model you get the Toyota Safety Sense 3.0, so you get the lane centering, you get curve speed reduction, so as you come up to a curve in the road, the car will automatically slow down. It's got junction assist, emergency braking, it's got all that emergency braking stuff as well for, you know, pedestrians, cyclists, intersections. It's also got reverse camera, front parking sensors, rear AEB with the rear parking sensors, so I tested that out and it works really well. So it stops before you hit something, and it actually applies the brake just before you hit something when it's about to touch the parking sensor. And that worked every time I tested it. And you can override it, so if you do press the accelerator, it'll let you hit the object. However, one of the issues is with this car is that in the base model, since you don't get a 360 camera, you don't get auto parking, and you also miss out on 2 extra parking sensors on the front, which would be on the corner of the car, or like right in front of the front wheels, and on the rear you'd get another 2, which would be right behind the rear wheels. And you also miss out on having rear radar, so you do not get rear cross traffic alert and safe exit assist or blind spot monitoring. So this car obviously cannot do auto lane changes and stuff like that either, because it doesn't have rear radar. So that was our last traffic light, and now we're leaving the city and joining the motorway. It's the 80 zone. It's 80 zone, 80 speed limit. The car did not read the sign, and we're joining here where the tunnel is, and there is a red green light scenario where I will they could have gone. Okay, now I can go because it's green. Get into the left lane here, and now that we're on the motorway, maybe I'll wait till after we get through this tunnel, because it is a little bit... Now I do have all the windows up, and it is nice and quiet inside the vehicle. And obviously everything switches to dark mode as we get into the tunnel, and automatic high beam says it's ready because the lights are enabled. As we leave, as soon as we can change lanes, we'll change lanes. 1 lane to the right. And yeah, now that we're cruising on the motorway going 80, I do have to say that this is a very comfortable ride and very easy to drive on the motorway itself. So right now it's really quiet outside. It is definitely windy and it is cold outside, so that is something to keep in mind. However, right now it's just gliding through. I can't hear any wind noise inside the cabin. Yeah, it's really nice, and the suspension is really comfortable. Although we will have to see when we go over the harbour bridge itself, well, how we feel those ridges on the harbour bridge itself, and whether we feel it strongly or not so strongly. So we'll go over the centre where there should be hopefully less wind. Right, so here goes the start. This is actually amazing. This is probably the best vehicle I've driven going over the harbour bridge. The bumps, you can feel the grates, right? Because it goes a little bit down and whatnot. But in the grand scheme of things, that's actually really good. I mean, it's really comfortable. It's very smooth to go into the dip and then come back out. Here's the bigger one. Really nice. It's really smooth to go into the dip and go out of the dip. And for these small little road bits over here, we're just kind of going over maybe the parts where the roads are joined together. Over there, you can hear obviously you can hear it click and clacking inside the car, but it's really comfortable. The suspension goes into that dip, comes out, and it's like really comfortable. It's not like really hard like the Tesla, and it's not like overly soft where it's like mushy like some of another vehicle. So this is actually a really good blend between actually having a sporty ride, because the suspension is firm. The car is 2.5 tons, so it does have slightly firm suspension. And obviously, with the fact that it's not a sports car and just like a standard, family car, it's a nice trade-off where you can still have a bit of fun with it, and it's also really comfortable going over these bumps on the road. Really good result over there. And here we go, opening up to 100 zone. Let's see whether the camera picks it up. Perfect, it picks it up. Very nice. So we'll pick up the speed to 100 and see how it feels there. So it is really, really windy outside, so I can definitely hear a little bit. I can feel the car a little bit shaky around, but it's really comfortable. It is still really quiet considering how windy it is outside. When you can hear it, it's like hitting the car. But the wind noise in this car is actually really low, but it's got really good sound insulation, so you don't hear much of the outside, which is a really good thing to have. And it is just a very comfortable car with the suspension. Going at 100 on this motorway, it's pretty flawless. We'll have to see how it is on a coarse chip country road, but I assume it's going to be really comfortable like this. Good tires, good suspension, so it's really good. So for the sound levels inside on a coarse chip country road, you can see I'm going 102 coarse chip country road, and it is really quiet inside the cabin. There is some fog up ahead, so yeah, quite good. And of course the car is driving for me, even in these conditions. Well, now that we're in the 100 zone, we can quickly demo the driving assist function. So when you turn it on, if it's had a speed limit red, it will tell you on there that you can set the speed limit to you can set the set speed to the speed limit. I'll put it 2 k's over, just so it can maintain flow a bit better. And you've got distance settings between 1 to 4, so currently I'm on 2 distance. And when you are on the motorway, it's really good. However, as soon as you enter some of the side streets, it definitely tends to struggle a lot more, although it's not meant to be used in those areas. Now, as I'm driving around, I do want to say that I definitely I hear some rattles coming from the car. Now, I'm not sure whether they're coming from this center part where the infotainment is, and when I'm driving with the radio off, I can definitely hear some sort of rattling from there, and I'm not sure exactly what it is coming from, but I can hear it. And when you push on these plastics down here, you don't hear anything, but when you push on the back here and over there, you definitely hear a bit of squeaking. So maybe that's something about the build quality, who knows. It's definitely not built as well as I've seen other Toyotas, like my 2019 Toyota RAV4, for example. That is built like an absolute dream. It's really well. There's no panel gaps, no nothing. The new Teslas are perfect, the Nissans, the old ones, but I've noticed a lot of the newer cars these days, the build quality is nowhere near as good as they used to be. and here we exit the motorway. It's on the boosted regen mode, and it's coming to a nice stop, and I'm only using regen right now, and it's smoothly bringing me to a stop. That is really good. So I can actually use regen a lot in this vehicle, which is a really nice feature, although one pedal driving again is not really good. So now that we're nearing the end of the video, we should probably talk about the pros and cons of this vehicle. So this car, there are lots of pros, lots of cons, and it's a pretty sensible vehicle. Basically everything evens out. You've got a big battery with less range, although your charging is 150 kilowatts, which is a bit slower, but it's pretty average. So the range and the battery and all that is pretty average in terms of what you get, which is basically like this car. Everything about it is basically average. The lane support systems are average. The boot space is average, although it is quite good for its size, I will admit. Although there are some other vehicles that are like this, like the RAV4 and stuff, have 500 and something liters of boot space, and that's just down to the fact that this car at the back has a sloping rear like a coupe, which makes it look a lot better but eats into your boot space. It's like the Tesla Model Y. If it was a boxy car, it would have more boot space, but I guess this is more efficient, I guess, and it is looking a lot nicer. The interior is really wonderful. This is probably the best part of the vehicle, the interior and the way it's designed. You've got a lot of, like, it's just easy to use. You know, you get into an electric vehicle normally and it's just like a completely different vehicle. While you get into this one and you feel like, oh yeah, this is a pretty normal vehicle. It feels like every other vehicle I've driven. You've got the regen boost option, which does not save. So if I turn it on this drive and I turn the car off, turn it back on, the regen boost setting will not save, and I will have to turn it back on again every time. But it's nice that there's a button to disable and enable it, just because some people coming from a petrol vehicle might not like regen, and so you just have a quick and easy button to enable it if you want regen at times, or like when you're on the motorway, and disable it when you do not want that boosted regen. And it's a snow mode as well. You have to disable this to engage snow mode, which is good as well. And the eco mode button is right there, which I will put on now. Save a bit of energy, I guess. Although this car does have that really good range, 460 something Ks on a full charge. I think it was 462 I saw this morning when I got it out of the house. 462 Ks of range, and yeah, that was really impressive. That's a lot of range in a car like this. So for a city vehicle and even a road tripper, this is really good. It's got good range and a big battery, and yeah, that's quite good. Now, one of the things is at the price of this vehicle. So this vehicle is expensive, $72,990. The competitors of this, Tesla Model Y, BYD, and they're cheaper than this car, which begs the question: do you want to spend the money on this? Now, here's the thing. Oh, actually, we can see the auto wipers in action right now. The thing is that this vehicle, while it's great, definitely lags behind the Tesla, which is cheaper. So if I was looking between the BYD and this car and then the Tesla, I would probably pick the Tesla, just because of the fact that it's a lot more modern with better technology than this car, like as in newer and faster computers and so over the software updates. But then when you look at it against the BYD, it's like this. It gets over the software updates, but it's not really that good at it. It doesn't get that many, and they don't add that many new features. Then on the BYD, you get slower charging speeds, and this one you get faster charging speeds. The BYD, you get an LFP battery, while in this you get lithium ion, which is a bit, you know, I'd rather have LFP, but whatever. And yeah, I guess if this is against the BYD, I would spend the extra money on the Toyota against the BYD, just because of the fact that this car is so much easier to drive. The inside feels a lot more premium. It's just a nice car. Then this car, yeah, if you know Toyota, their cars are typically more expensive, but they always feel a lot nicer. So now that we get into the driving, I've been driving this car for the past 3 days, and it's been my daily driver, and it's been amazing. From everything I've done with it, it's been absolutely amazing to drive for the past 3 days. So it's a really great vehicle. And just before we finish off the video, I do want to do a quick thank you to Toyota, Auckland City Toyota, located in Mt Wellington, 8 Forge Way. And I just want to say thank you for them for giving me this car to review. And I've had it since Wednesday, so now it's Friday, so I've had it for basically 2 full days now, and I'm returning it Saturday morning. So I do have another day with this car, and I do want to say thank you to the team over there for giving me this car for a long period of time to review. It means a lot to me, so yeah, thank you to them. And definitely, if you are looking for a vehicle, that is the place to shop. That is the biggest Toyota dealer in New Zealand. It's the Superstore, and definitely it's got a really nice interior, and it's got a massive load of cars. It's about the size of maybe 2.5 to 3 car dealerships itself, so it is a massive parking lot. So yeah, you could probably fit 3 car dealerships just in the parking lot itself. So yeah, if you do want to buy a vehicle, go there. Maybe even go up to TJ. TJ is a new car sales assistant there, and he's the one who gave me this vehicle to review. So obviously a big thanks to him as well. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Any other things you want me to review, any other cars from Toyota, anything else, definitely contact me, or leave a comment or email. And yeah, thank you for watching.